Hello everyone, this is Sylvia here in Kaleidoscope of Inspiration for Radio Cenzura. Welcome everybody, and today's guest is Justyna Hajduk. She's a psychotherapist, and today's topic, it's a very important one. We will be talking about our sense of boundaries and healthy boundaries. This is a topic. So maybe Justyna, on the beginning, welcome you very much. I'm very happy for you to be my guest. Probably on the regular basis. We'll see. So thank you very much for accepting the invitation. So maybe on the beginning, can you tell a few words about yourself?
First of all, thanks for having me, and I'm delighted to be here. And yeah, if that's going to be on a regular basis, I'm delighted, because I think there is a real need to talk about mental health and to talk about different things that normally people don't want to talk about, or they have no idea how to cope with certain things. So yeah, let's bring it on. And if that's helpful to the listeners, I'm all in. So as you were saying that, yes, going backwards, yes, I am a psychotherapist. I have background in psychology, and I'm a yoga teacher as well. And I did lots of training along the years, but I also do family constellations. So there is a little bit of everything that I like integrating. I don't think there's one thing that fits for all. I think, we need to look at certain things and design them for someone. So I like designing and creating, if you like, especially mental health. So sometimes people are saying like, "Oh, you're a witch. How did you know that?" It's like, yeah, it's like I can just sense it. So I bring myself into my work as well.
Great, thank you for a great introduction. So, okay, so maybe straight to the topic. So, healthy boundaries. So, what is the most important thing it's first coming to your mind about our sense of boundaries and healthy boundaries?
Okay. Um, I like talking about boundaries, and I think it is interesting one, because you see, boundary is a side effect of having a good relationship with your anger. If you have really juicy good relationship with your anger, you'll be able to address boundaries in a beautiful way. There'll be no shabang about, oh, I can't say this, and what will they think about me if I say something else, and oh my god, I better say nothing, because if I say it, it's going to blow up straight in my face. If you have beautiful relationship with your anger, boundaries, it's easy peasy. You just need to add a bit of communication there, and it's all happening for you. So I think that's emotional awareness. For me, it's emotional self-awareness in relationship with anger. It's very important in terms of having capacity to address your boundaries.
So, what do you mean by saying to our listeners having emotional awareness? Can you explain that in kind of a plain language?
Okay. So emotional awareness is like, I say with anger, for example, so it's that, for example, if you are in a pub, okay, and you go in there with your mates, and they're going like, oh, who wants to drink? And they go, and people said, and then you can see everyone getting drink and standing there, and no one thought about you. And first there's a bit of sadness, maybe a bit of irritation, and they, keep drinking, and suddenly you start becoming angry because no one noticed that you don't have a drink, and it's difficult for you to go and say like, hold on a second, what about mine? And that'd be a boundary.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you don't have awareness around, I felt sad and frustrated, and because no one noticed that, and I didn't say anything neither, I'm feeling angry at the end. But what do? Oh, they didn't mean to. It's not a big deal. It was only a drink. I can go and get one myself. But it's not about the fact that you can either go and not go and buy, I don't know, whatever it is, €7 pint. Maybe it's 9 at the time. Or I don't know. I don't buy pints. But anyway, um,
It
you
is
see,
about how you feel about
exactly.
the
It's
stress.
about
Okay.
it's about to catch what happened to you in that moment, and stay with the feeling. And usually we have tendency to go away with it because it's uncomfortable to feel it. It's way uncomfortable to stay with, like, they excluded me and I'm feeling excluded, because sometimes it can press the buttons in all our experiences when you felt excluded. So what we do, this is the coping skill. They didn't mean to, it's not a big deal. I'm going to go and do it and buy it myself, and it's fine. But if you do it once, second, and third,
then you always feel excluded.
Exactly. You end up in the same scenario. You develop a massive defense mechanism that is going to start functioning in other areas of your life, and addressing boundaries is going to be almost impossible because you are so detached from your feelings and experiences in terms of what do they mean and what it means. That, okay, so it's about what do they mean, but also about your needs.
Yeah, but my question will be, I think that probably maturity of the person, it's as well, because some, it's not always, I think is it true, you need to sort of adjust that, because sometimes it's not like you telling about your every need, but sometimes you articulate, because where's the boundary here? Because like expressing it's everything what you're saying, like inner child or whatever is saying, and maybe interpreting, because it's, I think there isn't that, for example, like you interpret the situation, for example, like let's say in this pub situation, oh, they exclude me, I feel abandoned, maybe they don't like me or something. Is that in a talk, which might be not real, maybe have nothing to do with reality. So my question will be how to distinguish that I'm going too far, because you're talking about healthy anger, but you can't really go after, you like, where's the healthy balance between expressing yourself and just being the member of the society, because we have to adjust. It's like we can't always express, because like a little children, we are adults now, whatever we're thinking, there's always a two-way traffic. How to adjust that, so not to be considered rude or not to stop projecting, because projecting stuff on other people, so how we expressing our boundaries, but like with respect towards others. That will be my question.
Okay, and this is really good question, because what you're saying there are three things: the projection, and I park that for a moment, the internal dialogue, but then you're moving into this is my adult self, and you need to have capacity to build connection between your adult self and your inner child, because you gave an example, for example, about your inner child, and you will have that, and it's healthy and it's good. You don't expose your inner child. For example, in a pub situation, unhealthy communication would be, oh my God, they excluded me, no one bought me a drink, and that's not fine, I'm not coming next time, where's my drink, guys, that's not on, and I'm hungry now. You are exposing your inner child. That's not that This is not a good communication. The communication inside should happen like, of course you're feeling excluded, and that wasn't okay. You're part of this party. Of course they should get you a drink. And then you go like, excuse me guys, could you please get me a drink as well, because I would like to celebrate with you. And remember, you have to top it up a little bit because you've forgotten about me. That's the adult self communicating after navigating the inner dialogue when you're feeling triggered, when your inner child goes into exclusion, but from the adult self, and that be okay. And they get you a drink, you say thank you, and it's like peaceful inside, and you can celebrate. Yeah. So it's like, it's what I mean by relationship with anger is like healthy relationship with anger. You need to know where is that coming from in terms of your emotional awareness. What does it mean in terms of your needs? And then yes, you can go, to advanced level. What part of me had those experiences? Because if this is your inner child that has those experiences, you need to navigate what's happening for inner child, but you can't expose inner child. Because when you're going to get exposed, that's emotionally, that can leave you in a very vulnerable space. You can't do it to yourself.
That's the one thing. And as well, like I think in the negotiation, it's like it needs to be from the not only from exposure, but like just even for yourself from the adult position. So it's just because what I'm kind of hearing here, which is I think very important, there's one part is me, my inner child, and one is sort of environment and how I deal and negotiate to be in the part of society, because we all together, we have to function like in peace all together, because I think some people, I think it's very important because some people forget that. Because, for example, from my experience, sometimes when I learn about, I used to have a huge programs with the boundaries. When I learned about the boundaries, I was doing exactly that. I was like, maybe pushing something down, and then like starts to yelling or sending the long text. Everybody does that from the inner child position. And what I'm, for example, dealing with that, sometimes you just put yourself in that person's shoes, because you might feel excluded, but wait a minute, I'm really excluded. Maybe that person is tired. Maybe I'm just standing in the corner. That person didn't see me properly or something, and that's why he didn't buy me okay, a drink. That's maybe the pub's example, but it's not the best. But it's almost like usually the feelings always are about that inner child. And then it's about that probably protection of inner child, but as well, like, learn that assertiveness, because I don't know for example, how like from the clinical point of view, from your clients point of view, how did you describe that process begin? Someone who have very kind of weak boundaries to very strong boundaries, because the boundaries could be, let's say too strong, but like maybe they're not too strong, they just like a wall, so you can't really, so it's only projection. Yes, I think that's what I understand. So person doesn't hear you, it's so much somewhere in the fear. So I think there's a scale when you actually negotiate your need with people around you and listen to the feedback as well, So maybe you can share some example how the process of developing healthy boundaries kind of briefly look like.
Okay, so the simple way, in terms of the boundaries, there is emotional awareness in terms of this is my feeling, what it means, what do I need, and then you go and you communicate. Yeah, so it's like you're building emotional awareness with emotional intelligence. This is the recipe. It's like, when you go to mechanic and you ask them to, oh, can you fix this light for me? So you ask me how to fix the light, and I'm opening, everything that's in the engine, and I'm telling you now how the engine, in terms of our psyche, looks like. So in my opinion, it's like when you have emotional awareness in terms of this is the feeling that I have, and you have capacity to recognize and stay with the feeling and be able to navigate, what does that mean in terms of my needs? You go and you say in a healthy way about your needs. This is the recipe.
And we all allowed to talk about our needs.
Yes, but you need to make, okay, there is a one rule that we touched on it, provided that you're acting from your adult self. This is not your wounded part. This is not your inner child. This is not some kind of dysregulating part that, does and says God knows what. Okay. But then if you have navigation all right, and you have awareness in terms of how to navigate what's happened in your personality, you bang on, and your trauma, past relationship, your upbringing, whatever you work, what happened in your marriage, none of that is important there. If you have that and it's bang on and you process that, you'll be able to do it. Yeah, and then we touch also around the inner child, and that's really interesting because you see, like in my years of practice, the majority of people who are struggling with boundaries, they have the inner child being somewhere left behind and completely disconnected. And you see, when I'm starting to work with inner children, and I love doing that, you see, the minute when you are truly connected to this little girl inside, and you can actually see it, you can actually see her and what she's going through and what's that like for her. There's no way you're going to go to let anyone near her. You were just not having it on her behalf.
Mm-hmm.
When there is this connect, you let other people to come in, go into this your space, feel entitled to do, and because you wanna, there is still longing for connection and for love. You stand back, and addressing boundaries is difficult because you want to feel loved, you want to be connected. Yeah, that's why we don't address boundaries. It's either to stop the the rapture happening, or we don't want to, or we take on responsibility for someone else taking things wrongly, or it's difficult, you don't want to make awkward situation, but then you put yourself in a vulnerable situation. So that's, and this experience comes from not being seen, and usually it goes somewhere to the inner child. And I just want to say something was really struck me, because we are saying, oh, inner child, inner child.
Mm-hmm.
um, I remember once I heard it in my practice. Um, oh, I was reading a lot about the inner child, and first time from you now I understand what it actually means. So I just want to bring the context of what inner child is, because otherwise we're just talking about those concepts, and some of the listeners might not know what we are referring to.
Exactly.
So
Please.
inner child, it's the energy of experiences in our personality that is linked to our upbringing. So inner child, it's the energy of the personality that I would say starts when the parents had an idea or a thought, I would like to have a child, until maybe 12 or 13. So all those experiences that are um, sometimes for some people it's up to 8 or 7, but nevertheless, uh, the experience of the inner child, the part of your personality uh, that is um, that is resonating with your experiences when you were growing up, and everything is there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's part of us, but we are not this part. However, I think it's important. It's like I'm always going there with a highlighter. We all have inner children, because that's the only personality that we all have. Because after that, we all have different experiences, and we have different personalities or sub personalities, if you want. Yeah, I take that back. It's not personality, it's sub personality. Um, but we all have the inner child, and it's important to have a good relationship with your inner child.
So this is like it's more emotional than logical, and I think, like from my experience,
It
uh,
is.
the inner it's just that sometimes like Eckhart Tolle, I think that's the part of inner child as well. Called that part of inner child could be a pain body, so it could be that trauma,
Mhm.
which is a first layer of kind of, because we all have a painful experience. You can't really
Yeah,
protect your
true.
children, and it's like live life without pain. Pain is, I think, integral part of our human experience, but like that pain body, from my understanding, this is what it's getting touched often on that situation. It's almost like, and it's painful, so you just slightly touch it. If you touch the wound, it will hurt. So we often just react from that position, and I think that's I totally agree with you. That's the inner child. So when we react from that position, we often project, because it's
Yeah, we
just,
are. Yeah,
so
and
there's no that adult self. It's a straight reaction through it, or reaction could be like we explode, or we can often just freeze in ourselves and freeze in our bodies often. um what i what I noticed, from
mhm,
people, is just that, like, parents start yelling, what you doing, what you doing, child usually freeze, and that freeze there, it's when the boundaries and nothing is actually not working. So it's just, I think, to be what you actually saying, to be in touch with that. This is, I think, most important thing, and anger, because that inner child is angry when the boundaries is like, to be in touch in that anger. I think that's the most important thing. I think what we're actually talking today for our listeners,
yeah,
to know, um because you have always that anger there. Yes, so like that's very
yeah.
important piece
It's
what you
interesting.
actually saying.
Yeah, and it's interesting the way how this conversation is going, and the way how you notice that, the child freezes, but the freeze comes from environmental response in terms of like, don't be angry, nothing happened, you got over it. And there are two things, okay? And in terms of the boundaries, women, so it's like girls, their anger, it's bad, it's ugly. No one wants to see an angry woman, because when she's swearing and she's tense and the veins are there in her body, oh, that's not pretty. Don't be angry, And for men, it's like they disconnected from sadness, and sadness is a part of the boundaries actually sometimes as well. So this is like universal theme in terms of like cultivating this idea that anger is bad. And sometimes clients are coming in saying, I have a problem with anger and I want to get rid of it because it's causing me so much problem. I'm arguing with my wife and I'm doing this, that, and the other, and I snapped the other day and I have no idea what's happening there, and they wish they could take anger away. And I'm going like, okay, so imagine one day without anger. Where did that leave you? How would you know that people are not crossing your boundaries? You have no clue whatsoever. However, if you are suppressing the anger, and because you have, I don't know, 2 millions of the situations like one in the pub, you put the anger somewhere behind you, of course it's going to go and blow up in your face and you're going to lose it. But anger is not a problem. The fact that you're not addressing the boundaries with your anger is an issue. But the people usually are focusing, I don't want to look at my anger because it's bad.
Yeah, we condition that way.
And they come happy going like, I'm lost, I don't know how to say no, I have no confidence, I have no self-worth, I can't see myself in better work, I was this, that, and the other. But that also comes from disconnecting from boundaries and anger.
And we always as children very severely punished, especially as a children, when we get angry.
Yeah.
And we learn from the very young age how to suppress that and just not negotiate that. I think maybe today's parents probably maybe more aware. I don't know what you think, but definitely our generation was exactly what you said. What you're saying, like, don't stop it. What you're doing? Why you angry? You have nothing, And there's like that undervaluing your emotions. Why you feel like that? You're not supposed to feel like that. And I think this is like, and the child is already feeling that. So
Yeah, and the child freezes exactly.
yeah, so
But then 20 years down the line, or 14 years after, I have received a phone call saying like, can you see my teenage daughter, because I don't know what's happening for her. She's mixing up with the wrong crowd and she doesn't know how to say no, and this and that happen. And this is exactly what you're saying. And so for all the parents there, because I can hear the voice, yes, we're going to let the children do whatever they want and I'm not going to say no ever. It's not about that, right? So if the child is angry, because it's usually when parents says no, of course you're entitled as a parent to say no. You are. But at the same time, if your child is angry because you said no more TV, what you need to go is to say like, it was the stupid decision ever. I told you to switch the TV on. I can see you angry, but there's still no TV. So you go and you are validating this is the anger. You have a full entitlement of feeling anger because you still wanted to watch the TV, and anger tells you that that's not on. But as a parent, I'm still telling you no. And
so
that
you're
is
setting up the boundaries as well.
exactly, and that this escalates the situation because the child is feeling hurt. There's no shabang. We can navigate that. And then 14 years after, your child comes back home saying like, they want me to do it and I didn't want to do it, so I'm fine. And you go like, well done, you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's the most important thing, the inner child. So we cover a lot of that here. And how is that, for example, how you negotiate that healthy way? Let's say in your workspace, on personal relationship, maybe we just go from the pub example. What is it, like how we and our relationship with anger? Because like you said, it could be others, like, because we're talking about people who are suppressing, but like you have those people who are very angry, yelling, shouting and everything, so that's not healthy as well. So how you coming from that angle as well, like trying to regulate when you sort of exploding. Yes.
Okay, so you see, when you're exploding, it means that your nervous system reached the point that it's enough, it's enough. If you have the behavior that there's so much accumulation that you either burst with tears or anything, maybe it's a severe anxiety, but we're talking about anger, so let's stay with that. You don't have this tendency to go off tangent somewhere. Um, so basically what it means is that you were neglecting yourself for a long time. And that'll be the moment. There's no easy way out, I'm afraid. There's no shortcut from it. You have to just sit with it and see what's happening. And I will definitely recommend, if you have those outbursts and you have no idea what's happening, that's a sign to go and actually see someone, in my opinion. Because it's so much there. You need to process that and unravel. Because if that's happening there, to me, as a professional, it means that you have defense mechanisms in terms of accumulating things, letting it in, and then going bam. And my sense is also that, you see, there is anger and anger. And the anger, when there's lots of outbursts, it can be accumulated, but sometimes sadness or trauma can manifest in terms of anger. So you're going to see really, I don't want to be, sounds too stereotypical there, but men will struggle with that because they're not allowed to cry. So you see an angry man, and it's social, from the social and cultural perspective, it's way more acceptable to see an angry man than a man who starts crying. So there is a massive coping skill in terms of changing and recycling pain to anger. Yeah, so you see, you need to look at anger as a symptom, but what's happening underneath. Yeah, and not chasing anger as a boundary, because maybe sometimes under, like, if there is a massive outburst, it can mean there's some unprocessed things, and you might actually be processing your pain through anger.
So basically, with we dealing with that, like, let's say, like that example of angry men, and everybody's saying you have an anger problem, you have to suppress that. That person is just like a pressure cooker, and just have that. So he never address, like, it's still the same problem. That's what you're saying. Like, he never address probably boundaries or something in the, or themselves, the inner child in the first place.
Yeah.
And it's just manifesting the same thing, is just manifesting different way. As far as I understand, that's what you said.
When you don't address the boundaries, you are getting hurt. You don't process the hurt or pain or anger, it's all getting stuck there. And it's to learn how to navigate, but also to process certain things. And I think sometimes people are well, we all have our own journeys. Some people go to self-help books, some people go this, there, and the other. So it's like you need to try to figure out the way, how to navigate and how to heal. But if we're talking about outbursts, this is serious, because it indicates also that you have this defense mechanism that it's going to that you probably are using for other emotions as well, and can be anxiety, and can be stress, it can be love, it can be joy. You're suppressing everything, because this is how our nervous system works. You can't just pick and choose. I'm going to suppress anger, and I'm going to leave everything else as it is. Usually it's like, if you start developing the defense mechanisms, you suppress one feeling, you're going to have exactly the same process going on for all the rest of them. That's why people are starting feeling depressed, very low. They find it difficult to get out of the bed. Nothing, gives them joy, because they suppress everything.
So it's like that. There's like because often people who are depressed saying are feeling nothing, and this is numbness. This is not true. They just simply not touching that. It's so much pressure there. It's for my body work as well, experience.
Yeah,
but that's
exactly. Yeah, you probably
that.
Yeah,
It's just they just almost like they stop feeling, they numb, because it's so much of it, not because it's nothing there. So you don't. But when you slowly start to go in and revel that, and just going slowly to the inner child, like the anger start to be a good thing, like you're saying. Like it's our navigating system to actually showing where our boundaries are.
Yeah, and also just to say, because you see, when you're saying, oh, you have to go and look at the pain, that's the most common reason why people don't go to therapy, or don't go and don't do any process, because they are so petrified that if they're going to open the tap, it's going to all go. And it's way too much. They feel like the nervous system, I feel like I collapse and I can't hold it. And that's why they postpone or avoid certain things. Or sometimes people even don't hug the close one, or, you know, when they're married, the partner, because they feel, have you ever had that? When people
Mhm.
are upset, if they think like if someone will hug me, it will all go. So don't hug me. Because there is like defense mechanism. I can't meet with that. It's too much. So for all those who are absolutely petrified, guys, listen, it's easy peasy. It doesn't have to be difficult, like including try and whatever you would like to try. Start small and unravel it because it doesn't have to, damage your soul. Yeah, the intention will be there to start healing, not to go, and
Yeah,
cause
it
problems.
doesn't have to be tearing your your clothes from, like, I
No,
think
no.
that's even, it could be very, very gentle process to just go in there. But I think from I think what is important, that awareness, that's what you actually said on the beginning, like, to, you touching your inner child, you touching that pain, and you do that slowly, and you sort of go in and release that from the body slowly, but also kind of you looking at that from the kind of observer and adult position. That's what I, for example, do in the, like, family constellations as well, because I'm a
Mhm.
global family constellations
Yeah,
practitioner. But so from the body point of view, I try to teach people to be in discomfort, like, because the emotions we feel inside of our body, and we can learn
mhm.
how, just from the position of peace, observe them. So when we, like almost like they foreign body, they part of us, but they not part of us. There's always, like in the many, many, many positions, that part you can just observe that. So when you just put yourself out and observe that pain, and you're not in it, it
Exactly. Yeah,
slowly start to releasing yourself, because you be able to process, because
yeah.
it's not, this is something what kills us, because we still life with something which we never process, never meet. And I think that's the important thing, and that's the part of of therapy. I think that's any kind of therapy, to just meet those uh
Yeah, yeah.
painful, not just talk about them, but really meet them inside, because otherwise there's no healing, because you can talk forever about your traumas and never heal. I think
No, exactly. Yeah, and
you know this kind of
yeah,
psychotherapist, but like I think on the very beginning, psychoanalysis never really worked on the very on not, it did work, but only talking, like, I think the pretty early was discovered, only talking doesn't really
mm-mm.
help.
Yeah,
Sometimes can even make things worse, because in your mentality you start to feeling different emotions, like we all know, probably most of people probably know the victimhoods. It's like feeling as a victim is kind of beneficial for us, because, like, as an adult, so it's always a trap to stay in there and just enhance things in instead of, like, dissolve them. Yeah, I
mhm.
think with just only talking, not thinking. So we really need to, what we're talking here, I think, is really touching your deep emotional self, or child, like you said.
Yeah. And I absolutely love what you were just saying there. It's so, yeah, it's beautiful and it's really helpful. So, and again, me highlighting, when you were saying when you do try, because you're referring to try the body work, aren't you?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yes,
that
that
makes sense.
theory. Yeah,
Yeah. So
trauma and
it's
tension relation
yeah. So
exercise.
it's like it's a beautiful observation that you have from the body because this is what our psyche needs. The more attention you pay to something that's uncomfortable, the more healing we will have, and it will go. So it's like when I'm working as a psychotherapist in terms of processing trauma or emotions or feelings, you see, people are discovering the more are sitting with discomfort, the less they are feeling it. When you're trying to avoid it, it comes back and it hits you because you didn't meet the need. So the
Hmm.
feeling, so you can't get rid of anger, unless you're going to actually address what anger means in terms of your need. It will come back. And this is the beauty of our nervous system. It can be fear, can be anxiety. If you're going to um, ignore the message that it tells you, it will hold you forever. However, as you beautifully notice, that there's a wisdom in our body, right? So if you like, and yes, we feel into our body. So if you release that, it will go. And again, this is a playful way of working with anger or working with boundaries. It's the same way like you can use the body to address the boundaries, yeah? And like retrain your nervous system to address the boundaries in a healthy way. So basically what I'm saying like can be creative, guys. Psychotherapy, whatever process or try, it doesn't have to be boring. And you're right, you're absolutely right. Talking about difficult things actually sometimes in my opinion makes things worse because you are making the connection in the brain that is responsible for trauma response stronger. However, talking about differently or processing differently, like for example with work that you do, um, it's way more beneficial because you're creating an alternative scenario in your brain. Otherwise, you're just going to go on autopilot.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we're, you still on the unconscious level, you're still in the same place. You just create a
Exactly.
new
Yeah.
story on top of the other stories.
Yeah.
You can go that route, so big, but like, just really touching to your body and to your emotions, yeah, it can be uncomfortable, but it's simply uncomfortable. It's like I don't know, like swimming in the cold water. Eventually you will get used to it, and it's not so bad. And that's what it is, which I highly recommend, actually. Swimming in the cold water, it's like lower the cortisol level and all that. Yeah, so it's actually exactly that, and it's I think very important, and just go into that body and observation. And I think,
Hmm.
like you doing in your work and I'm doing in my work, just mixing the things. But I think the psychotherapy, um and psychology, it's given, and the therapy, I think, for people who are feeling, bad. We're talking about people who actually feeling bad,
Hmm.
because loads of people can go to their own processes because they have a capacity for it. But like, sometimes the clients are coming to me and feeling like I'm severely depressed, and I'm asking them, are you in therapy? Because I think the therapy, um and I decided to take them and do the body work or not, or I'm actually saying, find the therapist, because when you open the body, I
Yeah.
want you to work with the therapist every week, which popping up, because otherwise you might feel dysregulated, because when you go to the body, you can go up and down, up and down. And if you don't have a regulation system, you don't, it's the kind of reverse process. You don't know how to put that in your head. You might feel worse, or you might panic, or you might feel very emotional. And this is simply like your emotional self, like you say, you just slowly, everything need to come out, and you will feel vulnerable, you will
Yeah.
feel emotional. This is a
Yeah.
part of healing, in anything. So like, you need to go that. So I kind of refer sometimes to Justyna, or someone, and just saying, like, you need to work on that first. And if you are in a therapist, and I know you every week seeing and talking to your therapist, I know you kind of safe, because going, that's why I think we both believe in complementary methods.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I notice as well with the body work, the first things that happen, it's just when they connect in anger. I do agree, like they connect in anger, they start punching pillows or something. Suddenly, they don't even know, because they don't do anything on the conscious level, but the boundaries are there, because they're not so pressurized. They actually they have kind of inner space that even in the body, on the body level, the body is looser and working different. They can say, like, I don't like that, I don't really like that person in work speaking to me that way, like, and they're gonna say, would you mind stop that, like they would. It's almost coming naturally for them. So it's like, this is all connected. And I think this is, I heard loads of podcasts about boundaries, but I think you, Justine, really adjust, it really say some few really important things.
Yeah.
How
There's
to heal yourself in order to be in the place when you're actually feeling good about yourself and worthy. Because I think that high self-esteem, that's the very important thing as well. Is to set up the boundary, because if I don't feel worthy about myself, I think my worth is zero. How I can, think I can't expect something from other people, So I think so. This is all in a child work. So it's very, very important.
Yeah, it's complex.
It's very complex, yeah.
And there's something that I want to add there about, the observation in terms of people releasing something in the bodies and how it can lift up the energy of anger or sadness or whatever they're going for. And why is it important to have a support in terms of therapies or in terms of whoever they would like to be supported by? It's like when we have all those experiences, like for example, the one with the pap, and you can feel it in your stomach, there is like squeeze, or maybe your chest are tight and you can't breathe and feels like, oh God, I have to go out from here or something. So it's like when you experience cross boundaries, when someone's crossing your boundaries, you will always feel it in your body. When you are trying to be in your head, you go like, oh, I didn't mean it, and you try to get out of this uncomfortable experience, the emotion stays. And this is what you do when you release this, when you release this energy that it's linked to all those experiences. Maybe they're going on for years. Yes, your psyche might open up and you need to process that or to talk about certain things, because otherwise you might feel lost. Yeah, so that's why I think it is powerful, but it's important to know how to navigate it.
Exactly. That's exactly it. This is like exactly, you need to know on many levels. So I think the holistic work.
Yeah, but it's easier than spending 15 years in psychoanalysis, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and when some people, and as well, it's your process, I think, as well. We just here to help one person who was very important to me. So it's just, therapy is just the container to helping you. So it's like always like you at center. If you it's your series healing process. So you are here. You are in charge. So it's up to you how deep you go. So it's not like, because people have a tendency to take responsibility, because it's like to give responsibility to everybody else. We all do that, to the therapist or something. It's your process. That's adulthood.
Exactly. Yeah.
Actually, yeah. It's your life and it's your process and it's your healing process. So it's like, no matter what the method, how you do it, I think we cover a few maybe points, which I think are very important from our both experience. But like, how matter, whatever works for you.
Yeah.
Whatever works for you. Maybe just walking on the river will outside in trees or something. Yeah, then you can connect. That will be maybe more healing than the psychotherapy. Everybody is different, I think, as well. Everybody has to remember.
Go to gym,
You can go to gym, yeah.
Yeah, whatever. And there's the thing that struck me when I was listening to you. Something came to my mind in terms of boundaries. Another common reason why people don't say no is like, oh, that'd be bad, and they're going to be upset. I can't say no. That's because someone will be upset. It's like, how I can say no to my children? People are feeling guilty for saying no, especially for women living. When you're a mom and you're exhausted and stuff, there is a sense of guilt that when you leave your family, it's like you're leaving your child in terms of your own personal boundaries of rest or self-care or anything like it. And then if you go, then you have to come back with something for them too, to numb the feeling of guilt. But you see, it's like, if you're going to say no to yourself and yes to others, this is what you're saying. You're saying no to yourself, and actually you're saying no to others too, because if you're not regulated, you're going to be miserable.
Exactly.
So it's better to address your boundaries for the love of yourself, knowing that when you come back, they're going to have a rested partner, mom, colleague, is at work, whatever it is. So addressing the boundaries, like, I can't do it anymore. I need to go and I need to do whatever I need to do. You're doing that out of the place of love in your heart. That's not selfish.
Exactly. That's very
And so,
important thing that you're actually saying.
yeah, so just to embrace that as well in terms of the boundaries.
Yeah, that's the very important thing, because it's like, adult person supposed to understand no, and if you say no to that person, okay, like it's not up to you how that person will react to that, but
No,
maybe
you're responsible.
you will gonna you say yes to something else, and maybe you find, it's the way of navigating our lives to the life we actually want, like there's a I think that's something often we forget to tell people, because there's loads of information about law of attraction and all that stuff, but very basic things is just say yes to things we want and no to things we don't want.
Yes, and also there is lots of
And then
yeah,
there's our navigation system,
yeah, exactly. And there is lots of posts into how to deal with your anger. 5 ways to address your anger. I have never seen a post, listen to your anger, and the more you listen to it, the better your boundaries is going to get. It's always like we're trying to deal with the symptom rather than looking at the bigger picture in terms of what it means. And if you're going to silence anger, you will be in trouble. Please don't do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, listen to that. But it's different to listen to anger and act from anger. That's
Yes,
we actually
absolutely. Yeah,
cover that.
yeah,
So
exactly.
it's like you have to listen to your anger first in order to decide it. Do you want to act or not? Because if you don't listen to your anger, I guarantee you will gonna act from it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
And you were gonna act. Sometimes you're gonna think, oh, I'm very, you have those people. Um, I'm very calm person, and it's very passive aggressive because they're so suppressed anger, especially in, let's say, we like for the sake of the like spiritual community. There's so much, because there's like disregard for anger. They're like, how dare you be angry? You have to be zen, you have to be enlightened, so it's like the anger is seen like something bad, but then there's so much passive aggression because there's so much suppression and don't recognize that in yourself. It's just like you said, authenticity and inner honesty, and just meeting for our inner child, but our very basic animals instincts, as I said,
Mhm.
as well, because they are here there for a reason.
Yeah. So it's like healthy relationship with anger to have healthy relationship with your boundaries.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the nutshell. Oh, do you want to add anything more, Justine?
Uh, uh, if I want to say for the listener, if you hear, I'm inviting you to connect with your anger in a beautiful way, because like you can nail it. You really can. And I'm grateful to you also for the space. It was beautiful to chat to you. And I hope that's going to be helpful for people.
Yeah, no, that was very definitely very interesting. I really enjoy that. Yes, and healthy. What I'm gonna want, and that healthy and relationship with anger, feel empowered. You feel empowered.
Yeah.
That's how you feel it in your body. You be powerful.
Yeah, powerful, exactly. Powerful body.
Yeah, it's a powerful
For
feeling. So
powerful boundaries. Oh, I like that. Powerful in your body for powerful boundaries. Yeah.
yeah. So so on the end, where we can find you, Justine, on social media, and just share it.
All right. Yeah. See, I always forgetting about this part. You're very welcome to find me on my social media. So thanks for a reminder. You can reach out on my website, Hajduk. I can't spell that. Hajduk. And you are welcome to find me at Hajduk as well on the Instagram. And probably we're going to write that
Yeah,
underneath
underneath the
this video.
posts. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So, yeah.
Definitely we're gonna use it. So we're gonna share the information. So thank you very much, Justine, for very interesting conversation for Radio Cenzura. Was talking with Justyna Hajduk. Sylwia Bartosz was talking about anger and healthy boundaries. Thank you very much. See you in 2 weeks.
Thank you.